laryngectomy, communication with a new voice. Imagine you wake up one morning, you go to speak and nothing comes out. You mouth words, but you don't hear anything. This is the reality that individuals face who go through a laryngectomy. We're going to go through what a laryngectomy is, why an individual would need this, and then their communication moving forward after they have the procedure. What's their quality of life? I personally have experience with laryngectomies. My dad was a 10-year survivor of stage 4 throat cancer. So he had a complete laryngectomy, and he had surgical voice restoration surgery where he had an artificial voice box placed. So I am all too familiar with this procedure and the implications it can have on communication moving forward with life. All right, so now we're going to dive into what is a laryngectomy. A laryngectomy is surgical removal of the voice box or vocal cords. It can either be a total laryngectomy or a partial laryngectomy. So why would an individual need their vocal cord removed? The primary reason for an individual to have laryngectomy is because of cancer. They have cancer of the larynx, so they have to surgically go in to remove the cancer. According to Caitlin Wright and Rosalind Carson DeWitt, when they wrote their article, Laryngectomy, they also stated that it's not uncommon for individuals who have trauma to their larynx, either through an automobile accident and sometimes a gunshot wound. They'll also have to have this procedure performed. All right, so they have the procedure, vocal cords are gone. They can no longer speak. So how do they communicate? Immediately post-op, number one way they communicate is with a whiteboard. They just have to write down what they're expressing or want to express to the individual they're speaking with. Once that is done and they heal a little bit further, they can move on to one of these electronic devices that vibrates their tongue, specifically this one I'm familiar with. They place it to their tongue and the vibration emits a sound, and that's how they speak. Once these individuals heal a little bit more, they can have a couple other permanent ways of communication and voices. One is through esophageal speech. That is where they swallow air into their esophagus, and then when they want to speak, they release a little bit of air while they mouth, and they can speak that way. However, the gold standard for once they heal is to have a voice prosthetic placed. What this does is, this is a stoma, so it's basically their airway. It goes directly down to their lungs. When they press the prosthetic, it pushes air up through here and out of the mouth. So while they word and the air is getting pushed, they can speak that way. All right, so they had surgery, they lost their voice, but then they learned how to find their new voice. But their new voice is different. So how does this implement communication challenges? Evans, Carding, and Drennan wrote in their study, The Voice Handicap Index with Post-Laryngectomy Male Voices. They surveyed men who had this procedure done, and they did 226 individuals. And there was a high conclusion that their quality of voice increased, like it was good to have this prosthetic placed. However, their quality of life did not increase. So why would that be? According to Gabriella Sharp, she did a research article called Communication Changes with the Laryngectomy and Impact of Quality of Life. She came up with 4 things that individuals struggle with communication after they have this procedure. The first thing is they can't be themselves. It's hard when other people can't understand you sometimes, and it's hard for your personality to shine through because you feel like you're different. My dad on numerous occasions said he felt like a freak because people look at you differently when you have a very different voice, a very monotone voice. With that being said, it's hard for these individuals to show humor. With humor, you have to pretty much be on point. Drop that funny line in at the right moment. And when you have to communicate this way, it's hard to do that. It's also very difficult to communicate with people who aren't around you on a normal basis. It's hard for those individuals to understand your voice and what you're saying. I know my dad struggled just ordering food through a drive-through because the individuals on the other side of the monitor didn't know what he was saying. It was hard for them. And because these individuals have kind of a set tone, they can't lower or raise their voice, it's hard for these individuals to have a conversation in a noisy environment. So sometimes they just have to be silent and avoid communicating with other people. Laryngectomies are wonderful, and then it can keep a person alive. It gave my dad 10 more years of life. However, sometimes it diminishes the quality of life that they have left. It can be very difficult for these individuals to communicate with others. With that being said, I think it would be wonderful for our culture to get a little bit more empathy towards these individuals, to support these individuals and congratulate them on their strength and the challenges they've overcome and faced, to just try to blend in with society.